Alma, please, just listen, okay? I want you to know it's nothing you did. It's not you, it's me. And I mean, can you blame me? Look at him! Hello and welcome back, hunters. My name is Zygosium, here to bring you all of the new news and details that we received from yesterday's Capcom Spotlight Showcase in regards to Monster Hunter Wilds and Title Update 2. Today we'll be doing a little bit more of a deep dive into it, but there is a lot to go over between the actual title update information that was provided in the showcase, as well as the new patch notes that dropped, and the Monster Hunter Twitter has also rolled out a bunch of news, some of which is covered in the patch notes, but some of it isn't. So I wanted to go over everything a little more in depth, but also want to try and make it manageable. Doesn't need to be an hour-long video. I will also have the links for Capcom's YouTube page where they have the title update as well as the showcase available so that you can go watch those yourself. And I'll also link the patch notes, which can be found on the Monster Hunter website per Capcom. Going straight away into it with the Capcom showcase. Okay, so we're opening in the Scarlet Forest with a Rathalos fighting against small monsters, and we have Lagiacrus, and we can see that this is like the original cutscene for when Lagiacrus was introduced in Monster Hunter Tri. The conflict, the scuffle with Rathalos, as it were, over the body of an herbivore. The only difference is now in this generation we actually have full-fledged turf wars. Absolutely tanks that fireball. And back to actual gameplay. We can see here he has not lost any of his electricity. Based on a tweet that we got from Capcom, this is a new area that we will fight Laggy in. Most likely accessible through swimming, as it seems like his fight is going to be more stage-like, closer to Jindahad, where you may start in one area, but as the fight progresses, you'll move through following areas until you get to the final area where you'll fight him. This is most likely the final area, but the exact details remain to be seen. As we can see here, there is an underwater component to his fight. Later on, they will show another snippet for the underwater that we'll discuss. Here we're moving on to Arch-Tempered Uthduna, who's going to be making a return. Again, they don't specify it here, but later in the video they will talk about the date that Uthduna comes out. We also have a collab event with Fender, bringing in a new gesture into the game. Moving on now to layered weapons, so now we can make the Ardian weapons, or any weapon, look like another weapon. Here we show that they're bringing back dance emote gestures, as well as new armor. And here we see we actually have Gemma's armor, and actually this hunter here looks very similar to how the Caravaneer looked in Monster Hunter 4U. Obviously, these graphics being way higher fidelity, but the hairstyle, the white hair, it's not a coincidence. They wanted us to look at this armor and immediately think of the Caravaneer, so they also made the hunter look the part. Walking here on one of the lower bridge areas in the Ice Shard Cliffs, we can see a Hirabami up in one of the higher areas. So this is a more detailed look at the underwater combat. It doesn't actually look like, and the devs have stated, that it's not going to be fighting in the same way that it was in Tri. Instead, it looks like it'll be more just a sequence where we'll have to dodge attacks from Lagiacrus, and we will be able to do things like interact with him with a clutch claw. We can see very clearly here this is not the same hook slinger that we're used to using. We actually have a full claw animation now where we do exactly what we did in Iceborne. We latch on to the monster itself. What purpose this serves yet, we don't know, but you can see here that the hunter does stab Laggy in the face with a knife. Following that, we can see the hunter is pulling down an environmental trap. Also right here, this is very clearly a throwback to the box art for Monster Hunter Tri, with a hunter cocking the weapon back, getting ready to strike. So that's just a nice little nod back to the older generations. We cut to the Windward Plains, where we see Nona as well as a couple other children with Sacrets up in Area 5, where the big Fulgurite crystals are, and Seregios attacks from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. We see here in his pin attack, he's applying the bleeding status. We also see him get into what appears to be a turf war with Reidao, which only makes sense if we've got monsters like Mizutsune that can turf with Uthduna. We're going to get more monsters that can turf with the other apexes. That was it for the Title Update 2 trailer. However, we do have the rest of the showcase to go over. They do talk about some things more in depth, and they also have a narrator that goes over a bunch of it, or as opposed to just having translations from the devs on the bottom of the screen. So I will continue talking through what they're saying, and I'll cut bits and pieces out and around some of the more important things that happen. We also have the devs clearly showing this was the art for Monster Hunter Tri, so the hunters holding the sword differently, but other than that, it's very much a callback to Monster Hunter Tri with how they ended their trailer. Here the devs discuss how there are underwater portions of the hunt, but most of the fighting takes place on land. So we're not getting underwater combat, it's just going to be part of the sequence where we'll have to do some underwater things.
バラギアクロスってトライの時からそうだったんですけど、水中でのこのシルエット、縦にこう伸びた時のシルエットっていうのは本当にかっこよくて、そこの迫力っていうのをぜひ感じていただきたいというところがありましたので、武器を完全に振ることは自由に振ることはできないんですけれども、ちょっとイベント的な水中のアクションっていうのも今回、なんとか実装することができましたので、そこも含めて楽しんでいただけるようなモンスターに、仕上がったんじゃないかなと思います。
Here too we can see a shot of the new armor and two of the weapons in game, the switch axe and the insect glaive. We also see the Palico armor and weapon, which is cute. So now they're bringing up Seregios, which it's, again, always great to see him in the game. The interesting thing about his weapons historically was they inherently had a skill on them where by evading you could actually sharpen your weapon. Now that we have full-fledged skills on weapons, I'm sure this will just translate to being a skill on the weapon. Just like how Mizutsune had the slicked blade skill on the weapons. Here we see the armor for Seregios, both the different versions, as well as, again, two weapons. In this case, it's the charge blade and the insect glaive, which only makes sense because those were the weapons introduced in Monster Hunter 4. And here we also have the Palico weapon and armor. Okay, so for this section, again, they're going to have a narrator that covers a lot of it, so I'll cut out a lot of the fluff and just have the important parts that the narrator says, and I'll inject anywhere where I think some more information is helpful. So in the case of Arch-Tempered Uthduna, they will be coming not exactly in line with the upcoming festival, the Festival of Accord Flame Fate. The festival runs from July 23rd to August the 6th. Arch-Tempered Uthduna will show up a week later, July 30th, and he will stick around until Wednesday, August the 20th. I called this in my previous video in regard to layered weapons. My very first prediction was that they were just going to make the layered weapon system the exact same as the layered armor system. If you make the piece, you can then layer it. We also have three different versions of what the Ardian weapon can look like. Palico weapons work exactly the same as regular weapons. If you make the weapon, you can layer it. No upgrading needed. Photo mode is getting some adjustments, as we can see here. One big concern is we can see that we can remove the glowing effect from armor skills. We can move characters out of frame by just making them disappear completely. But interestingly, it doesn't specify here or in the patch notes whether this removal of the glowing effect is only in photo mode or if it's something that we can turn off when we're in the gathering hub, for instance, or out on the field. So that remains to be seen. This one came out of left field. I don't think anyone was expecting this, but the ability to completely change who our handler is. We can essentially let Alma stay behind at base camp, and Eric will instead be the one traveling with us. We also have a new support hunter, Mina, who is from a bsky unit, which we got a little bit of information on when the Akuma event quest happened. We can also now change which support hunters will be able to come out onto a quest with us now that we have more than the 3 options. Here we can also see another new Insect Glaive. Insect Glaive is getting a lot of love this update. This is the staff that we saw from the second trailer when the game was first being announced. It was being wielded by Zato from Kunafa Village. People may have speculated that it was like a 15th weapon, a very basic bone spear type weapon. In this case, it's been enlarged to just be a new Insect Glaive. Here, again, we get another shot of the Caravaneer armor, which is awesome. Gemma's armor. We also have new pendants that look like fishing lures. New cat paw armor that looks exceedingly cute. Dashiguma mask, which is really cool to see. Here we can also see a new sword and shield, which it's got this awesome ore shield as well as a pickaxe for the blade, which this is not the first time we've had a pickaxe weapon. As we can see here, there is a longsword variant. This existed back in World, but again, just more weapons, always better. Here we can see another event quest armor piece. We also have a new challenge quest coming. We can actually see this in the event quest list that Capcom provides us. It's currently a couple of weeks out, but we will soon have a Mizutsune that will be a challenge quest, which means there is a time to beat, and if you can beat that time, you unlock pendants. Here again, we can see Monster Hunter is doing a collab with Fender, which results in a new gesture in-game that actually plays Proof of a Hero, which is really cool, and it's a version that was actually recorded on the guitar that Fender is collabing with in real life. So that's cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's a hunting horn that is this guitar, which in my opinion is kind of a huge missed opportunity, but what can you do? Next, they're going to cover downloadable content. There's free downloadable content, which appears to be these 4 dances that we're seeing here. There's also the cosmetic DLC Pack 2, which you can either purchase all together in one collection, or if you like parts of it but not all of it, you can purchase bits of it separately. If you have the Premium Deluxe Edition or the Cosmetic DLC Pass, then these cosmetics that we see here in the DLC Pack 2 will be free. They include new layered armor, new hairstyles, new makeup options, pendants that look like the Amstrigian, 6 different kinds of balloons, more dance gestures, stickers, like a little bit of everything. New paid downloadable content, which gives us hairstyles that look like Alma, Gemma, and Nata, respectively. And we have a bunch of different pendants, little potion icons, all the way up to this genius little Downy Crake that's going to be running after me for every quest from now on. Moving into the Festival of Accord, Flame Fate. This is the summer festival that we will be doing. We can see Woodwoods here in the Grand Hub, and we also have this new Palico look, which is awesome. The new meal, which is very meaty. The Diver armor set returns from World, as well as new pendants. We also have summer-themed armor for Palicos, new pop-up camp decorations, and here we can also see Gemma has a new outfit, one that has a very adorable Laggy plush on her waist. And this is just a really cool shot of the Gathering Hub decked out for the Summerfest. Okay, and then winding down on the spotlight, we have the free title update roadmap, which again, we've got Lagiacrus and Seregios both showing up this upcoming Monday, June 30th. Comes with layered weapons and a lot of the other additional features we talked about, swapping handlers. Then the seasonal event, the Festival of Accord Flame Fate, that comes in one more month, the end of July, runs until the beginning of August. Arch-Tempered Uthduna shortly thereafter, partly during and then after. And then we also have the Fender special collaboration that doesn't come until the end of August. We also have here them showcasing the fact that they are still doing weapon balances. As we can see here, the Hammer has a new follow-up attack after their offset, which, if you've never tried Hammer, you really need to. That looks meaty. That looks like a lot of fun. Okay, so that was a lot of stuff for just the trailer as well as the showcase. They cram-packed a lot of stuff in there, but they actually flat out said on their Twitter that they couldn't put everything they wanted to in there and advised people to go and look at the patch notes. So I did just that, and I will show them here to you now. The patch notes themselves came out at the same time that the event was happening. However, they were amended at some point on the 27th today. For the player, again, going over the basics: new equipment, new pendants, new voice lines, new pose sets, new gestures, sacred decorations, layered weapons. That was a big one. We've already covered that extensively. New backgrounds, new poses, nameplates, titles, new support hunter Mina, which we already talked about. Here was the part that talked about Fabius. Again, it says available to join quests after completing the main mission of Hunter's Pride. Fabius will only be available during a limited time seasonal event. It says a limited time seasonal event, so I'm not 100% sure if it's indicating the festivals themselves or if there will be a specific festival that he'll be available. I would assume it would be more than just one specific time, because otherwise, why mention it? Especially why mention it this early? So once the Flame Fate Festival shows up, we'll have to see if Fabius becomes an option for support hunters. Bases and facilities. This one had a couple of interesting bits. Added item boxes outside of the hunter's tent in each base camp, as well as the Grand Hub, making it easier for you to access your items. Added an outdoor item box as a camp gear option that can be set up at pop-up camps, being able to switch from Alma to Eric or vice versa. It's unlocked after completing the Lagiacrus mission. The following features will be temporarily modified during the Festival of Accord: the Handler's outfit, sacred decorations, the Diva song list, the Grand Hub decorations, the canteen menu, barrel bowling, and barrel bowling bombs. And then right here, interestingly, Eric's and Gemma's outfits can also be changed. Again, if Eric is now able to be our handler, it makes it sound like in this instance his outfit will change for the festival, but we may not have the same amount of control of it as we do for Alma. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they implement that. They've also added features that will automatically select armor spheres when you're upgrading at the smithy, and any excess it'll convert into smaller armor spheres, and a feature that automatically selects reinforcement materials, again converting the excess into the smaller materials. Here we also have a box specifically for Steam. This is discussing changes to some of the elements that you can control in your options for graphics, so hopefully this is the first step towards better optimization for Steam users that either are having issues with hardware that should be able to handle it, or are having issues with hardware that's on the lower end of the spectrum, being able to diversify what you want in the way of graphic upscaling. So again, once this rolls out, I'm sure a bunch of people will test and see if this makes a difference or not. So we'll have to wait a couple of days for this to roll out and see if that helps more players be able to play the game. Added a feature that lets you quickly restock the item and ammo pouch, always nice to see. Take all feature to Nada's material retrieval facility. That is a huge W. Added a remove all decorations function. They've changed the hunter card to now you can turn off the arena quests addition to your weapon usage stats. So for people that have perfect guild cards, that's something that may interest them. Following options have been added: health gauge warning, fixed display under display elapsed time, activate skill/item effects, equip talisman effects, support hunter damage display, access item gathering settings. What I'm thinking this is they have specified that they're looking to update their UI elements. So things like the health gauge warning, when your health bar goes all wiggly when you're about to be hit with a super strong attack or are in danger of potentially being hit with a super strong attack, maybe there is now an option that can allow you to just get rid of that effect so that your health bar doesn't do the big wiggly. The activate skill and item effects, that's another one where every time your maximum might wears off and then comes back, every time burst wears off or comes back, every time agitator wears off or comes back. If you're like me and perhaps running all three of those skills on one armor set, that's a lot of pop-ups throughout a fight, so now you can just turn those off. Fixed an issue where stumps would sometimes appear floating in the sky in the Grand Hub. I actually saw this. I have footage of it because at first I thought it was a bird that was stuck in the air, and it wasn't until I got closer and zoomed in that I realized it was like a log that had tipped over about 100 feet in the air. So interesting to see that it was a bug and it has been fixed. The other element here, the material retrieval item request can now be performed during inclemencies in Kunafa and Azuz. I don't know if people encountered this. I didn't actually realize that it was related to inclemencies, but occasionally when going to collect the farmed materials from a couple of the various locations, it would always present you with the option to change what item it was that you were farming, and occasionally that list just wouldn't show up. Tempered wounds in future free challenge quests will now be in fixed locations, so for people trying to beat the time, it'll be good to research, good to test where those tempered wounds show up, because again, breaking a tempered wound results, assuming you're not doing it in the middle of some kind of animation lock, tempered wounds will always result in a downed monster. Also, this was an issue that they were aware of in the last update, where if you had an investigation, the monster size would remain the same for the first attempt and the second attempt, but the third and final attempt, the monster size would change. It didn't do that before the 1.011 update, and now it won't do that after the 1.02 update, so they fixed that, which is good for crown hunters. For the players specifically, it looks like gathering actions have been adjusted to be more responsive, especially while riding the Sacred, which is really nice. Crouch movement now also benefits from a faster recovery time for the bleeding status effect. This is in direct relation to Sir Regios, who is the king of bleeding. Now from here we get into each individual weapon change, so I won't go through every single one, but I do recommend going to the actual patch notes page, reading through, especially if you're a sword and shield user, dual blades, longsword, hammer, hunting horn, lance, gun lance, switch axe, charge blade, heavy bowgun, slightly for light bowgun. It affected all bowguns, not specifically light, and bow. So really, great sword is not on the list, and it doesn't look like insect glaive is also on the list, but every other weapon has at least one item in their queue of things that have been changed. Also, generally, it seems like damage is going up. The attack for support hunters has also been increased if the quest leader is at HR 100 or higher, which is interesting. And they've also given Olivia the offset attack, as she is a hammer main. And now we go into miscellaneous for the system. We now have better access to skill info, which is nice. Food skills can be viewed easier. Again, another nice quality of life improvement. We can now accept and depart quests directly from the quest invite notification. So as opposed to having to open up the notification and then selecting an option, it sounds like they're just making it so perhaps holding the button will, rather than accept it, just do a quick start for you. And a little tidbit for Steam users, the amount of VRAM used has been adjusted, so we're gonna have to wait to see until Monday if some of these changes make it better for players on PC. Okay, last section is quest changes. They made it so that you can accept and join quests while in an environment link, which is really nice to see for players that just like having a more seamless experience. Another one here, new preventative measures have been put in place for invalid or fraudulent investigations. If you have seen any of these investigations where you've got a monster that's dropping items that it shouldn't, or in massive quantity, these are clearly modified investigations and could result in the suspension / banning of your ability to play online. So if you see any of them between now and Monday, definitely don't click on them, but sounds like that won't be a problem going forward. Okay, and that was the last of the patch notes. So real quick, going into the Twitter, looking at the Monster Hunter handle, they did release a mini director's letter, which I encourage anyone to go and read it themselves. Otherwise, I will display them on the screen. Feel free to pause it and read through it. My voice is actually killing me. This is like the longest video I've recorded, and again, because I'm doing this one more freeform as opposed to scripted, it's gone on a lot longer than I intended, so I won't read through everything here, but just suffice it to say, between the tweets that they're sending out, it does look like they're taking note of the things that were reported to them in regards to UI improvements, weapon balancing, game stability, more challenging hunts. They're addressing each one of these things, and they're also letting us know that they see our response to their surveys. They are making progress in these areas, and most importantly to me at least, is they're wanting to be much more transparent about it. They're now going to start guild reports, which again will be on the Monster Hunter Twitter handle, but they are going to flat out notify fans they are receiving reports, and they will be letting us know what it is that they're actually doing about it. So like this one, Guild Report 1, people requested the optimization of performance of the Steam version. I'm sure they were aware going into this, but I'm also sure that a lot of the feedback they received was the overwhelmingly negative review score that they're currently sitting at for recent review scores on Steam. And so this is them notifying us that they see that and they are attempting to fix it. Right now it looks like it's talking about the VRAM that we've already discussed from the patch notes. No word yet if it will be successful. Once the next title update rolls out, we will see. But again, keep giving them feedback and they will keep improving the game. That's what they're getting at with all of this. We can also see here in the following guild reports, making it easier to access the map, the UI elements. Guild Report 3, which discusses the sacred behavior, and they had this little video that shows exactly what they mean when they say the sacred is more responsive. And then finally, Guild Report 4, which includes adjusting weapon types like dual blades, hunting horn, lance, light bowgun, heavy bowgun. So they are listening to what we're saying. They are making changes. They did make it fairly explicitly clear that we're going to get big updates with title updates, but that they are going to be doing little updates in between. So we'll just have to keep our eye on what all they're doing, and they're making it easier for us to do that by this new guild report system on their Twitter. So if you don't follow them, you should. You should also follow another account that reports on status updates. So if you don't follow MH status updates, you should follow them as well. They give us status updates like the shader cache issue for NVIDIA and AMD GPUs that happened at the beginning of June. That's how people were getting around the issue that they have since, or will have since, fixed in the 1.02 update. So again, keep an eye on Monster Hunter Twitter handles because now they're being more transparent. So rewinding real quick before I end this video, the eagle-eyed viewers should have seen on one of the tweets that I had on the screen from the Monster Hunter handle a minute or two ago in the video. They did list future update plans for the game, specifically 2 areas of interest: Free Title Update 3, which we already know is coming end of September, as well as Free Title Update 4, which will be this winter. Free Title Update 3, and I will read this verbatim. In Free Title Update 3, a new level of quest difficulty will be added, which will feature their own unique rewards. Hunters can use these rewards for a new talisman crafting system, which can be assigned various skills at random. The new talismans can be assigned a wide variety of skills, including those exclusive to weapons and armor, and will also be randomly assigned slots for decorations as well. We believe this system will broaden the range of builds and create a gameplay loop that encourages players to equip themselves to take on the game's toughest challenges. One of the largest complaints that Capcom is receiving, besides the optimization issue, is the lack of a good endgame grind. The Ardean weapon system, while they also state they want to continue that system and not let it fall behind, this new RNG talisman system very well may serve its purpose in being the new endgame grind for people to really min-max their builds by crafting talismans that have weapon and armor skills and decoration slots. Some people in the community seem to be for it, some people seem to be against it. I kind of sit on the fence in this particular area, specifically because we are still seeing a craftable talisman system that is controlled through the smithy, one that is also getting improvements as we get more difficult monsters. When Arch-Tempered Ray Dao came out, the Gamma ticket that came with him was used to upgrade the latent power talisman from level 2 to level 3, meaning that as we continue to get more arch-tempereds, as we continue to get new monsters, their pieces, their materials, their gamma tickets, whatever it may be, will be used to upgrade existing talismans beyond what we're already using, which is the current meta. If these two systems, the current crafting system as well as the new RNG system, exist simultaneously, I don't see there being as large of a divide between the super ultra meta sets that had god-rolled talismans versus what we can actually just craft. It's a system that encourages those that want to chase something, those that want to farm can, but those that don't want to aren't left in the dust and won't be able to complete content. That's my take on it at any rate. Once we actually get the information on what skills can show up on talismans, what skills can show up together on talismans, what sort of decoration slot limit we have on talismans, then we'll have a better idea of what the absolute pinnacle talisman would be versus what's the best thing that we can create at the smithy. And then we'll have an idea of, is this RNG system more or less optional, or is it going to become mandatory as we get harder fights like 5-star Tempered Gormagala? And that's pretty much it, everybody. That was everything that I could possibly go over. I probably have an hour and a half's worth of things to sift through and try and make a cohesive video of it. So if you're hearing this, I was successful. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If there was anything you found particularly interesting in the patch notes or in the presentation, let me know in the comments. If I was not clear on any of it, please let me know in the comments where I can be more specific or do a better job of explaining. If I was wrong about anything, please also let me know so that I can edit or adjust accordingly. And as always, if you liked the video, please leave me a like. I always appreciate it. If you found this content informative and want to see more, please click subscribe so that you will get notifications of when I post more videos like this. I probably won't be posting for at least a couple of days because the new title update will be dropping and I want to enjoy it, so I will probably get some footage of it and post a video afterwards. But for now, that will be it, everyone. Thank you again so much for watching. Goodbye for now, but not for long.